Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk to a man who is defying all medical conversation. His return after an Achilles blow is something that the world is admiring from afar and from close range. Megan Rapinoe, in her last ever soccer game, blew her Achilles just a couple minutes in. And immediately afterwards, as she was trending #1 on X and on Twitter, she said, "I'm calling this guy to find out how I can recover quickly." That's going to be the new norm with how this guy's been handling this particular season. Ladies and gentlemen, the 39-year-old quarterback of the New York Jets, 4-time MVP, Aaron Rodgers. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Back in the rehab facility, man. Back in the Achilles factory.
Okay, let's talk about the Achilles factory. You're in there. A lot of sports pundits have been chit-chatting about your return to the Jets, especially now with how bad the New York Jets have looked on television with all of us watching. Has there been a little bit of a conversation in your mind about slowing down rehab because maybe the Jets won't still be in it whenever you can finally get back on the field?
No, not at all. I mean, I find those two are mutually exclusive. You know, my speed at which I'm doing the rehab has been kind of the same from the beginning. It's to push it as hard as we can every single day. And, you know, as long as we're not stretching the Achilles, you know, we feel like we're in a good place. So I'm thankful to, you know, Doc and Heather and Double A and my IFC, you know, my IPC that's inflating right now.
Hey, it's a good machine. Yeah. That's a good machine. That machine's been doing it.
All the modalities that we're doing. But no, we're going to push it as hard as we can. Listen, there's been some 4-6 teams that have made runs over the years. Back in 2016, there was a team in the NFC North that people were counting out. They went on a run. Ty probably remembers this one. And you know, won 8 in a row and went to the NFC Championship game.
Right.
There was a team in 2009 in the Big Apple, well, Jersey, that was 4-6, finished 9-7, went to the AFC Championship game. So, listen, the season is definitely not over. It's not dead. There's a lot left to play for. I'm excited about where I'm at in my rehab, and things are progressing as quickly as I thought they would once I've been able to jog on a treadmill, and excited about getting back to the team and seeing where I'm at.
Okay, so you're saying jog on a treadmill is there was a video. Jay Glazer had a couple updates. He said you're back December 2nd. That's kind of the goal. December 2nd is the goal. And also you sent a video to the Jets where the Jets people were like, holy shit.
Whoa.
Whoa. That's what they were saying. What was the video? And December 2nd, actual date that you're eyeing to get back to football?
That's a Saturday. It's also my birthday. I'm not exactly sure where he got that date from. I have said that I'd love to be, you know, trending towards practicing by my birthday. Maybe that, you know, in the game of telephone got back that I wanted to, you know. But I don't think there's any reason in opening, you know, designated to return off of IR on a Saturday, unless you're going to activate me on a Sunday. So I don't think that that's necessarily the way things are going as far as specific dates. But yeah, I sent, you know, I'd like to keep in touch with the guys and let them know what my progress is. So I just sent a couple of the boys a video of me on the treadmill, as you know, they're interested in my rehab, where I'm at. So I haven't been back to the facility in a few weeks. Obviously, we played Vegas, and then I wasn't back in Buffalo. But just keeping them updated on where I'm at.
Can we run that video?
Yeah, where is it?
No, I don't know how to do that. I would have to send you the video, and then you'd have to run the video.
It's pretty easy.
It's nothing special. It's just me on the Ultra G running at you know, certain mile per hour with a certain body weight percentage. So.
Can't run. Don't want to run it though. If it was to happen to get to my phone, we do not want to run that for the people.
Yeah, definitely don't want to do that.
Okay. All right. It did look good, though. If it's a video that I saw, it is a hell of... Hey, you're doing it, dude. You are in the middle of doing it. Like, that video, I'm not on the Jets, obviously, but when Jay Glazer said it, he saw some videos, they lost their mind. If it's the same video that I potentially just saw, like, hey, for real, it is bananas what you're doing right now. And you keep sandbagging, too, saying no real developments in rehab, no real this, you know, kind of a slow week. And then all of a sudden, it's just like boom, boom, boom. You're crushing it, man. You're crushing it, man.
Before AJ jumps in, I didn't see the the Glazer. He must have done on Fox. Is there a way I can get a reenactment from somebody on the panel? Or
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
is that?
Listen, I have it within good reason. Okay, got sources everywhere in New York. Obviously, I'm a fucking legend in New York.
Can't say it.
no.
Jay!
Yes, he's got one.
Jay!
Oh no.
Jay Glazer's not even on the show. Dropped an F-bomb.
He's got
That's
one.
all I wanted right there.
That's the first time I've done that.
That's enough. Thanks, Ty. You got it.
All right, AJ. Thanks, Jay.
Wow.
Hashtag Jay knew, didn't he?
Yep.
Jay knew.
Had a clean
Always
slate.
does.
Yeah, jeez. I think we
He
played
did.
Ty and Jay.
No, Ty's still clean. That was not him.
A half. We
You're
get
in
half.
character. We're at 8 days, by the way, with no F.
That was our best.
Is that the guy from? Is that the guy over there from Wichita? Or is that,
Reporting live from Wichita.
Right to Barry's.
It's gonna be tough to live that one down.
Right to
especially Barry.
Barry's face, Aaron. Right to his face.
so every day now because of rehab and it's fantastic. And that was a good moment.
Oh boy.
It was good for the program.
Yeah, electric.
Great for the program.
Good.
I mean, there's not a lot of times where Barry Sanders speaking where you're like, Barry, shut the hell up. We gotta address something.
What the hell did you just say?
What did you do?
I caught myself. I was gonna say it the right way.
You were.
I'm like, oh,
It's
no,
such a
that
weird-
sounds right.
Which,
You know,
No.
that's weird. Gotta be Wichita.
gotta be.
Anyways, all right, let's move along. Great to see you back. Great to hear you're almost back. Close to your birthday, too. It's cool stuff. AJ has a question for you.
Hey, you've mentioned you want to strain your Achilles. You don't want to stretch it. I would assume at some point in the rehab process you have to stretch that thing, right?
Age.
Okay, that was almost as bad as Wichita, but I never said I want to strain. I don't think that's a good thing. Strain my Achilles.
You don't want to
Rest.
stretch it. We don't want to stretch it.
No.
Stress it.
Let's go back to what you actually said. You said
Okay.
strain, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to strain my Achilles. I
I
would
want
like
to stress it.
stress my Achilles, but I don't want to stretch my Achilles.
So when do we stretch the Achilles? I would assume that's a box you got to check before you try to get back on the field with the boys December 3rd.
It's coming up.
Yeah. When do I don't even know what the question was. I'm still thinking.
When
about
we stretching this thing? We've been doing
We
a lot
have to
of
stretch
stressing.
eventually, right?
When we
We got to
stretching?
stretch it eventually.
Just got to keep strengthening it. We're strengthening it. A lot of it happens once I get my heel all the way on the ground, which usually doesn't happen for 12 weeks. Obviously, we're way ahead of kind of common protocol. So, but the jogging, I think, has exponentially improved the strength, and then it's kind of sped up like I thought it would the rest of the healing. So after some weeks where it was kind of slow going, where I couldn't notice a lot of big gains, once I got on the treadmill and was able to increase the speed above a walking pace, things have progressed pretty nicely the last few weeks.
Okay, and every day that you run, I assume there's a full like post-run test. Like, how do we do? Is this thing swollen? Is there a reaction? What are those? What are the things we're looking for afterwards where we're checking boxes saying, yes, good workout, or, oh, we got to slow down a little bit?
You don't want any pain in the heel. Because it's anchored in the heel now, that can take some of the stress off of the Achilles as you're strengthening it and taking it through normal movements. So you're paying attention to heel pain, paying attention to soleus, and write down the Achilles if there's any issues. And there haven't been. I mean, it's been really good. My calf definitely gets fatigued on both sides, just because I haven't run, in so long. But a lot of positives. Just it's been a lot of really positive days the last couple of weeks. And honestly, that's why I didn't. It's been so nice to be able to be around the guys. And I've done multiple cross country flights to see those boys, and I love it. And it gets me through some of the doldrums and the dog days of rehab. But it also does kind of set the rehab back a little bit because I'm flying 12 hours, and then it kind of takes a day or two to kind of get back to neutral where I was. So because my return to the Jets was imminent as far as spending the rest of the season with them, I felt like to be able to have a stretch of like 10 straight days of rehab, especially with what I'm doing on the treadmill, it was in my best interest to not do the 12 hours of flying, get back to a few days of rehab, and then go back out. I felt like it was best to to grind through these 10 days. It sucked to not be there with the guys. Obviously, we had a rough performance, but I'm excited to get back there this week and see the fellas and cheer them on. And, again, we're not out of it. A lot of people are going to count us out, and there's obviously been some changes, but a lot can happen, a lot left in the season. And it just takes, like I said in 2016, like I'm sure they said in 2009, sometimes it just takes one to kind of reset everything, get guys back confident, and then you never know what can happen.
Not only one game, one play too, right? I think you've talked about that in the past, how it takes like one play that can really just spark it all. Obviously, Zach Wilson has been benched for the foreseeable future. They've also signed Trevor Siemian today. So Tim Boyle, Siemian in that quarterback room, and that's it.
Yeah, those two and Zach.
Yeah.
Okay, and obviously
Yep.
December 2nd on his birthday.
Oh, yeah.
This guy here. You see what happens to Zach? I assume you sent a message, but let's talk about Tim Boyle. There's been a lot of people chit-chatting about Tim Boyle. We know you are a massive fan of his. A lot of people are saying that's the only reason why he's potentially in the position that he's at, because the stats don't paint a great story for Tim Boyle anywhere over this whole thing. Why do you think he is the guy who has been not only in your quarterback room, but in the NFL for a while, 5 years now, I think, at this point, where maybe some on-field performance in the past hasn't looked as great? Is this offense just one that he understands well? And what do you expect from Tim Boyle in his game playing with the New York Jets here while we wait for your return?
Well, first of all, you got to fix that graphic because it says Packers 2 years, 1 touchdown, 13 interceptions. I can promise you that's not accurate.
Okay. All right.
Good
Hey,
enough.
maybe.
Fix the graphic in the back, whoever put
That's
together
the
that
UConn.
graphic.
That's the UConn stats for sure.
'Cause that's,
Yeah, it was just copy-pasted from the one above it there. Yeah. All right. That's right. That one got missed. He had 0-0 for the Packers. He threw 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Okay.
So he added 13 interceptions to his world there. That's a little bad out of the ground. That's on it. We're part of the problem.
Whoops.
We're part of the problem. That's on us.
Well, I think first of all, you can't have it both ways. You can't talk about certain players, whether it's a quarterback or a skilled player, about how great they did in the preseason, and then diminish it when it doesn't kind of fit your narrative. Preseason football is what it is. I always feel like the practices, the inter squad stuff when you bring another team in are very, very important and great as far as evaluation. But the preseason matters as well. And if you watch the way that Tim played in the preseason, I think you'd be pretty damn impressed with the way that he commanded the offense, the throws that he made. I thought he was accurate. I thought he was, anticipatory. Did some really good things. So some people like to, not give a lot of credence to the preseason. That's fine. But in the live bullets, I thought he did really well. He's had a couple chances over the years in Detroit and Chicago. It's just about understanding what we're trying to do and getting the ball out quickly and getting the ball into our guys' hands. I'm happy for Tim. I love Tim. He's a great dude. He cares about it. He's a gym rat. Always has been. There's been a few guys over the years, my backups, him being one of them, Scotty Tolzien being another one, Matty Flynn, guys who, really were just kind of gym rats, always in there, gamers, spend the time in, experts of the offense. Tim's always fit that mold. He's always been the guy. I remember the first time we were in Green Bay with LaFleur's new staff came in, and like the first week there was like a test on the formations and stuff. And I'm old school West Coast, so I'm used to, specific set of terms for them. And they're putting up South and Swamp and Stack and all these things. I don't know what the hell. I was just kind of guessing up there, and it was like one of those tests that we have on our iPad. And Tim got 100%, and I was like, "What the hell have you been doing?" He said, "Study it." So Tim's always been an expert of the offense and understood, all the little intricacies. Now he's got to go out there and execute and do it at a high level. But again, we need a spark, and obviously this was the decision that was made. I feel for Zach. I love Zach. Zach's such a great kid, and I do think he still has a bright future in the league. This has been a tough go for all of us. A lot of times in these situations, there's certain guys that got a scapegoat, and I think there's enough blame to go around in a number of different positions. If you have 10 guys doing it right on a play and one guy not, it's hard to be efficient.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, Zach is taking a lot of heat, and now you saying you think he's going to be good in the NFL still is a big statement, because everybody's just assuming he's done, because Coach Charlotte talked about it today or yesterday at the press conference about we'll handle this in the offseason. So I don't think there's a plan to go back to Zach in this particular season. So then what is the next step? He might just get caught in that cycle, you know what I mean, where that whole that whole thing.
You really never know in this league. You never know what could happen. This was obviously not the way any of us thought this was going to go down. It was going to be me and my show, and Zach getting to learn and watch it firsthand, and not have the pressure to go out there and play. And so obviously, this is disappointing. I have some, personal guilt around the whole thing. I mean, I'm pissed that I wasn't able to play, and frustrated that, if I was out there and I feel like I'd be playing well, there would be obviously different narratives around our team, and Zach would again have the opportunity to learn and grow and see what it looks like without the pressure on, and being able to sit in those meetings and go through the season and just kind of watch me in my process. So I'm disappointed and sad about that, but it is what it is. It's a situation, and we're all going to support Tim and move forward, but we're also going to put our arms around Zach and love on him, because he's a great kid, and it's not all his fault, and this is the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, the NFL is tough business. Great sport, tough business. I think it was your quote in this entire good sport, tough profession. I think is how you kind of laid it out, and when you described
profession, tough business.
Oh, there it is. Good profession, tough business. Great quote. But Zach Wilson is experiencing that. Let's talk about you watching the film. We saw Robert Saleh give an entire promo about the silent tape. You know how much it means to me. It's just you. It's not the narratives. It's not in the crowd. It's not commentators. It's just you in the film. When you watch that film, and you said you think that if you were playing, there'd be a different narrative about the Jets. Do you see an offense that you think, if you were to be dropped in there, would have success? Because a lot of people wonder if the offensive line that was being questioned before the season started is worth you coming back, even if there is a chance for you to go on a playoff run. When you watch that film, you think to yourself, yes, this Jets offense can be good or there's opportunity for this Jets offense to be good if you were in there potentially as a master of this offense that you've known for 16 years with Hackett and the West Coast system?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough question, Pat, because I think that brings in a lot of bus throwing. Ultimately, it's a hypothetical thing. Listen, I'm confident in my abilities and what I've accomplished in this league, and joked about some of my down years being career years for guys. But I do believe in what I'm capable of. I believe in the offense. I think that there's obviously a lot that I can bring to the table based on my experience. I got some pelts on the wall. I've done things in this offense where it allows me to do some extra stuff that's in the offense, but it's you got to kind of earn some of those things, some of those adjustments, some of those little things you can do out there. But no, I think we've obviously had a number of different offensive lines that have played. A lot of injuries up front. McAfee even going down in the game, doesn't help either. So multiple left tackles, I think everybody except for Lake has missed significant time. So that definitely makes it tough. But who knows? It's hypothetical. I feel like obviously I've had success in this offense and would expect to if I was playing. But I'm not going to throw anybody on the bus.
Hey, that was a good answer, because what you said about the Giants last week after Ty's question, if you do recall, that was unbelievable.
Would they cut 2 seconds of me repeating what the question was?
Yeah. And the thing, though, is I feel like we're getting to a point where people are like, that's not real. Yeah. It feels like on the internet now, we're getting to a point where people are like, meh. And that's good, I think, for society as a whole, not just, obviously, this particular program. Felt like nobody really believed it,
I hope not, especially all these deep fakes. The deep fake on Jim Harbaugh is pretty amazing from his press conference.
I watched it as a host of a live show. It's going to get real difficult going forward on what's real and what's not. AI is good.
Oh, yeah.
AI is a talented video shop editor. I mean, they are very good. But, yeah, it's only getting better and better. But I think people are sticking up for the truth, hopefully, which obviously isn't the norm in recent history. Go ahead, AJ.
Aaron, what are your thoughts on AI and all this, everything going on? I would assume you have some strong beliefs on this. And where do you think, what is the end game? Are we okay? Are we going to be safe?
That's a great question.
Great question.
It depends. I think there's some issues with AI for sure.
He has an answer. Yes. You've thought about this. That's what this sounds like. Floor is yours. Very pumped about this.
I think the thing that I do feel pretty good about is there's certain fields that AI just can't replicate the human experience. And I would hope that there's still a lot of areas, especially in art and entertainment, where AI can't eliminate those jobs. I think the freedom of expression that we see in art, whether it's music or painting or sculpture or whatever that stuff is, just so uniquely human.
Football.
And I hope that although there are some amazing AI programs that can do things for you in that realm, there's nothing like the human subjective interpretation of life as expressed through art. So I hope that doesn't change. I think we've all seen a lot of interesting movies around AI that show maybe more of a dystopian future around it. The iRobot is one that comes to mind on the top of my head.
Shout out.
Nice.
Will Smith doing it. Will Smith doing it.
Yeah.
Will Smith doing it.
Anytime you put the powers that be in charge of things that can directly affect our life, you got to be really careful, because unchecked power can definitely corrupt. So I wouldn't trust. I wouldn't trust a whole lot of those powers that be to make any decisions on the behalf of humanity that are in the humanity's best interest. So I think we got to keep taking care of the humans at this point.
Hell yeah.
And, be smart about how much AI.
Humans. We're doing it. We're the ones. It's us. That's what we got to remember out here.
I mean, but how many people want to get linked up to a computer in their brain and have every inch of Google's database in their mind at an instant? That'll be interesting. Cool. People are already getting, their bank account stuff chipped into their body as well. I think it's a slippery slope at some point.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
Everything and you see that new phone that the Apple, I'll call them traders because they left Apple to go create something to compete with Apple, but they're super big brains, former execs. They got this thing now, it's like a little clip, and it just shoots, and it's your home screen's on your hand all of a sudden. So, like, it's a phone.
Whoa.
Yeah, you just go ahead and it plugs in the whole thing. I think that's what the future looks like.
What if you don't have a
pretty
hand?
cool.
Can you still?
Well, I think you shoot on your arm, your nub.
Under the nub.
Whatever it is. On your other hand, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Honestly, that's a good question.
I have no hands.
I just want everyone to be
No
able to
arms,
use
no
it.
legs.
Yeah, if you got, girl, what you doing? Got me in a trance. Yeah, the pen doesn't work if you do it with no hands.
No.
Doesn't work.
Like a bed sheet, maybe.
Somebody's just gonna have to walk around with it.
Yeah, they're
You just gotta be-
caretaker.
Well, no, I'm assuming
Seems
if
efficient.
you have
be
no
rocked
arms
up.
or no legs. I don't think. you're
Anyways,
moving
what you
around.
wanted to say, Aaron, and I don't
Get
think
Bluetooth.
I cut you off before you could get to it. The AIs can't play football.
Nope.
End of story. That is all we need to talk about. And
Not yet.
that is,
What?
they never can, AJ.
Yeah, watch it.
Never can play football. You know it.
Well, I'm saying, I'm sure with the circles Aaron runs in, he probably sees some of those super high functioning robots that might fool you a few times. Hey, that might be a human.
That is true, Aaron. What do you know over there in those high circles that you fly around in over there in LA?
I don't know what he's talking about, but
Stick to the script.
AI has done a lot of good though. There's a lot of really good things that AI has done. So we can't throw that away, but just got to be careful with unchecked technological developments.
Yeah, concur. I'm excited to hear.
I'll just stop right there.
Yeah, you were really going. You went like this. You really went, and then you brought it all the way back home, right back into the bread basket. You know what I mean? You did. It was a fantastic piece of work as you're healing a torn Achilles. Let's get back to football chatter. Tom Brady was on the Stephen A. Smith show, and he talked about mediocrity around the NFL. We actually have the clip. I don't know if you've seen it. Here's Tom Brady chit-chatting about the current state of the NFL.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Why not?
And
Why not?
I think the coaching isn't as good as it was. I don't think the development of young players is as good as it was. The rules have allowed a lot of bad habits to get into the actual performance of the game. So I just think the product, in my opinion, is less than what it's been. I look at a lot of players like Ray Lewis and Rodney Harrison and Ronnie Lott, and guys that impacted the game in a certain way, and every hit they would have made would have been a penalty. You hear coaches complaining about their own player being tackled, and not necessarily, why don't they talk to their player about how to protect himself? We used to work on the fundamentals of those things all the time. Now they're trying to be regulated all the time. Offensive players need to protect themselves. It's not up to the defensive player to protect the offensive player. A defensive player needs to protect himself. I didn't throw the ball to certain areas because I was afraid players were going to get knocked out. That's the reality. Wow. I didn't throw it to the middle when I played Ray Lewis because you knock him out of the game, and I couldn't afford to lose a good player.
Aaron, do you agree with that? And what do you think is leading up to that? Is it the young guys can't handle the same things you guys can handle back and you're kind of one of the last of the Mohicans of the old guard, Peyton, Tom, all you guys doing those things? What do you think is leading to that?
Joe Flacco.
7. Thank you.
Footsteps. My bad. I left footsteps out.
Sorry.
Phil,
Matt
That was
Ryan.
great.
Drew Brees,
Matty Ice. 7.
Sorry.
Big Ben.
Great question. I saw the clip, and definitely, I think as much as anything, I agree with the last thing that he said, and is that the rule changes have created a lot of bad habits. And when I was a young player too, the greatest fear you have as a quarterback is getting one of your guys hurt. Throwing the ball high over the middle, exposing the guy, and him getting rocked and him leaving the game. That was your biggest fear. So you were smart about certain plays and throws of just not making them. And I think, if I'm looking at this from a real big picture, like there's a softening of society that has definitely caused things like this. Look at all the sports. What happened to hockey? Hockey doesn't have the enforcer position anymore. Why? Because we need the fighting out of hockey. It's too violent.
Well, stage.
And people don't want to see the violence on TV. I think people want to see football be a collision sport. And not, to where guys are getting mangled on the field, but they enjoy the big hits. And there's certain players who you just knew were big hitters and would push the line of what's a cheap shot and what's a legit hit. But it's tough to play defense in the league. It is really tough. I saw a couple of calls last night and just thinking, that was not how it used to be. You used to play the Lions, you're getting rocked, just about every snap you're taking, dropping back, you're getting hit, you're getting pushed, and if you go back and look at some of the film on some of those games, I'm talking like 08, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
The game was reffed definitely a little bit different back then. Is it better in certain areas for player safety? 100%. Have we gone too far in certain rules? 100% as well. And I think it's really hard to play defense. It's really hard to figure out the strike zone, especially with a moving player. I think we've created bad habits in the some of the reads and the zero fear of throwing over the middle. I think we're some of the quarterbacks are getting rewarded for sliding late at times and taking very light shots that become 15-yard penalties. Obviously, Kareem Jackson is in the news for another big hit that's putting him on suspension.
That's a running back.
It's a hard hit.
Yeah.
Does he, is it intentional? I don't know. I mean, he's got a bad rap now. Some of these hits, I feel like the hit in Green Bay game was probably unnecessary. As far as it seemed like he had some time to think about that one, but things are happening so quick in the league. Who am I to judge? I haven't played defense. I don't know what it's like to, in a moment, have to change your strike zone significantly or think you're going to hit a guy in a certain spot and to be able to have your eyes open the entire time to move your spot slightly or take your head just slightly to the left so you're not hitting the guy in the head. It's very difficult to play defense, and I think there's some intent involved in most of these hits that it's not malicious intent. It's part of the collision nature of the sport. Do you go back now and review plays and try and figure out intent? That creates a whole interesting can of worms that they couldn't handle a few years back when they tried to review pass interference.
Well, we all could. We all could.
I know, but I've said this many times, and I'll say it again. There's a lot of great referees in the NFL. There's a lot of great ones who've retired over the last, good bit. And the majority of those great ones who retired are on TV now because the money is high and they can do great. And we've talked about this many, many times. Gene Steratore is phenomenal, right? But if they could give Gene or Dean or Mike Pereira or Terry McAuley, these guys who were fantastic NFL refs, the opportunity to kind of take that over with the right type of pay, and then they were willing to do it, I think you could see some interesting ability to make these a little bit more interpretable, a little bit, more in the nature of the rule, and maybe change some of these bad habits that I think have been created. But
the two names you didn't mention. Hey, the two names you didn't mention from the official standpoint: Walt Anderson, Alberto Riveron. They're the ones that have been in charge. All those good refs you just said. TV. Who's in charge of doing the pass interference they were doing first? Alberto Riveron. Yeah, he's the guy that's got to do it.
Listen, I like Walt. I always like Walt.
I don't.
Okay, I like both Walts. I like him, Walt Coleman.
I like Walt Coleman. Walt Anderson.
There's been a lot of great ones, and Jeff Triplett. Mike Carey. There's a lot of guys who retired over the last 10 or 15 years that were a big part of my career, and I appreciate those guys. But you need to get one of those guys, in my opinion, to get Gene because he's the best. Get him in a position where you pay him enough money, whatever the hell he wants, just so you can interpret the rules, I think, in the true nature of how it needs to be interpreted. And honestly, the refs would be great with that, I think. I think the refs would love that. And I think Gene could do a great job, and he explains things really well on TV, but you'd have to give him the right kind of money and have to give him the opportunity to enact some real change, but I think in the long run be in the best interest of the sport moving forward, so we don't keep going down the slippery slope of really taking the quarterback into more of a flag football environment, which, listen, I mean, maybe there's some guys that want it. I never wanted it. Like, I feel like being hit is part of the game, and obviously I've taken some shots, and one of the shots I took changed one of the rules. I got hit by a bar. I didn't think that was a dirty hit by a bar. I was more upset. I felt like he flipped me off after the play, which I guess we went back and talked about it. He hadn't actually done that. Or actually, I think I flipped him off. He gave me the suck it sign. But I guess it wasn't in reference to each other, so we cleared that up. And
I was telling somebody else to suck it.
Not you.
Yeah, I was telling you to suck it. You already did suck it. I just sacked you. I was talking to somebody else.
But I
to
didn't
suck
feel
it.
like I didn't feel like it was a dirty hit. There was, I didn't get the ball out quick enough. He was able to grab me in a certain way, and it was unfortunately a football play that went bad for me. Tom got hit low and lost his ACL. I don't know if that was an intentional shot down there. I think cleaning that part of it up. But then, the way you can't hit guys now, guys are going low more. I don't know if that creates more injuries. You have to go and look at that or more issues. But I think it's really hard to play defense. And I don't know if there's a clear-cut, way of changing things. But people enjoy the collision part of it. Nobody wants, the crazy spearing out there, but I think there's a happy medium somewhere in the middle.
Where was it in college this weekend? There was a guy in college that actually said, "Hey, here's video for you guys to show
Boston College at Pitt.
on the targeting." This dude, safety, comes flying in and literally jumps like dolphin out of water with helmet, looking for somebody else's helmet. It's like in the middle of it, it's like, all right, we believe that the intent there seems to be helmet to helmet, and there is a zero use of a hand or a shoulder in this entire thing. But I think intent can get read. And you talk about Gene Steratore being the guy with the feel and being the right guy. They had Walt Anderson drop into Monday Night Football. You remember that? Mm-hmm. Walt Anderson dropped into Monday Night Football and said, the reason why we called this was this. It's like Gene not only being on CBS, but being on everywhere, especially in his primetime games when most people are watching. That's good for everybody. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and handle that, Aaron. Let's do that.
I think it'd be great. I really do. And I think Terry does a really good job on TV as well. And, there's some really good ones who have moved on that could help it. But it would take the NFL wanting to make a change and then not being cheap and paying.
Yeah. Well,
we saw what happens when they were a little cheap to the referees back, a few years back when we had some.
That's right.
Some interesting people. But they'd have to, not like they don't have the money. Like, pay Gene or Terry or one of these guys, the right amount of money to just go through and see, and then practice them in the preseason and see what works. If it doesn't work, scrap it. But you got to work on it. You saw what sports are evolving now. Baseball, is not the most interesting sport I think for many of us to watch, but they did a good job on speeding up the game with some of this stuff. And
I'll watch it.
And strike zone stuff has been interesting. At least they made a little box for the viewer at home to check out. But there's ways of maybe moving this forward that don't lose the collision nature of the sport that people really enjoy, because that's part of it. We realize we're putting our bodies on the line. I think that's part of the thrill, is knowing that you are a kind of a modern day gladiator. But if we keep going down this path, especially with quarterbacks, there's going to be flag football on us and tackling in a 1 foot tackle zone on defense, which makes things not as enjoyable, I don't think.
And I think what Tom's saying is going to make worse football. And that's what we need to remember whenever we're adjusting all these things. What does 10 years look like now for the best game in the world? Speaking of change and evolving, the Pittsburgh Steelers did that today. We were talking about it whenever you joined us. You did not get a chance to say anything, but I think Tone Diggs is going to ask you a question about that.
Yeah, Aaron, earlier you were talking about when a quarterback change, a spark, a scapegoat. Now 2 offensive coordinators have been fired, Ken Dorsey and Matt Canada. I don't think you've ever had to go through that in the middle of the season. I assume not. I could be wrong there, though. But, as a quarterback, how does that affect you in the rest of the season? Is it actually something where the offense can get better with a new coordinator and change if it's the same offense, basically?
It's tough. I mean, I think a lot of times it gets kind of overblown a little bit because I don't know how much you can change in the middle of a season. Now, if you did it before a bye week and you had a whole, side kind of ideas that you maybe didn't get to that you wanted to implement and had 2 weeks to kind of put that in, it might change things. But week to week, there's just not a ton you can do. It's more just the flow of the plays, maybe some input here and there. I think there's a lot of guilt that comes along with it, and especially if you're pulling the trigger. The only thing I dealt with like that in my time was when Mike got let go in 2018 when we were 4-7. We were crappy and things weren't going well. We were struggling, and Mike was there forever, and you develop a relationship with a guy, and it sucks, because you just feel responsible. And then Joe came in, and there's, it's just everything's just a tad has just a tinge of newness to it. But not a whole lot can change. This play callers are a little different, but in the end, you call plays based on the personnel that you have, and where you're limited in some areas doesn't mean you can just totally scrap the entire offense and do new things. You're still trying to be efficient and effective. And I thought Josh played good the other night. I had a conversation with him, and I thought he made good decisions. Sometimes it can be a reset for the guy calling the plays. We're like, okay, now that's out of there. Now it's almost like, oh, now it's on me. And some people do it really well with that, where the pressure amps up. Okay, now they made a scapegoat. They fired somebody. They made a change. Now the pressure goes up to the next person in line, which is usually the quarterback pulling the trigger. Now he's got to play better. And I think Josh is a great competitor, and I'm sure there was some of that, the guilt and the frustration of a buddy getting let go, and now hey, no excuses. Now I got to play better, and I think he went out and played pretty damn good.
Yeah, and we'll see what Kenny Pickett does, huh?
Here we go.
Kenny Pickett got the weight of Pittsburgh on his shoulders.
Yep.
Good luck, Kenny.
Those bridges in any city in the world, I think it's known as the Bridge City.
Them or Venice.
Sicily might have
Them
it.
or Venice.
Yeah, you get it. Anyways, whole weight of all those bridges on the shoulder of Kenny. It was nice to see Josh Allen having fun again. It looked like, you know what I mean? It looked like he was having more fun.
It wasn't that nice.
It was, wasn't it? That's a nice thing.
It wasn't that nice.
What do you mean?
Well, I love Josh, but definitely wasn't pulling for him to have a lot of fun.
Dude, you need to get back over there because with everything that happened in that game with the Bills, and obviously with the bounce back of the Bills against the Jets defense and what the Jets defense has done, Quinnen Williams was upset on the sideline. He was yelling at people. Then obviously now Zach's out. Hack's doing this with his record of how it's going. It's like you're going back into a place that if you and the Jets were able to turn this around,
Man.
What a story. Hey, what a story. That could be everybody on the Jets as happy as Josh was the other night. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That could be the whole thing, Aaron.
Well, that's the thing. And now, it puts, when you make a change, whether it's a quarterback or coordinator or even coach in the middle of the season, everybody else gets put on notice. Mm-hmm. And some people do that really well, and some people shrink. So we need people to step up in the moment and take ownership of it and kind of put their name on the line. I feel like that's part of what happened in 16 is, and nobody believed that we could run the table. But when I said that, one, I believed it, and I didn't think a lot of people did. But two, I said, there's a lot of shit going around right now, and a lot of people taking shots at me and Mike and our offense. I'm gonna take a little more of this. Maybe if once I say this, now the spotlight on me gets even bigger. So now how am I going to respond? But maybe the spotlight on everybody else shrinks a little bit. Maybe guys play a little more free. So I'd love to see, our guys step up and somebody put it on themselves and say, I'm going to be the reason we win this week. I'm going to be the reason we win. And hopefully everybody can play a little bit looser and go out there and be free. And nobody's expecting us to win. That's a dangerous position to be in. So I love Quinnen. I love his fire. I love his passion, his leadership. And if he's yelling and getting going, because he's generally not the loudest person, love it. We need it. We need that fire. We need it from him. We need it from CJ. We need it from Sauce, DJ, JJ, Quincy. Right. We need our boys, TA. We need our boys to step up and on that side of the ball and be ballers. And offensively, we got to step up. And somebody's taking on themselves. So I'm going to be the reason we win this week.
Tim Boyle.
Hell yeah.
Maybe it's Tim Boyle. Go ahead, AJ.
Hey, what has it been like, honestly, not playing this year and sitting out? And we know, like, every week you come on here and we get to do all this, and you're so detailed in everything you're doing with your rehab. But when you're sitting there and you're not rehabbing, like, what's it like not being there, not being on the team? We hear about how tough it is, obviously, when you're away from your squad and you're injured. What is that like for other people that may be going through injuries around the league?
Yeah, it's awful most days, to be honest.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I think you have to find some beauty in the midst of it. A lot of people have said, everything happens for a reason, and that's their calling card. And I've just never really subscribed to that specific thought process. I believe life is happening all the time, not happening to me. That's a victim mentality. Life is happening, and all we can do is determine how we respond to the experiences that we're going through. And so I've tried to respond in as positive a way as I can, and to manifest what I want through my rehab, and to be available to my teammates, to clear my head, to contemplate my life in the league, and my desire to still be competitive at the highest level. That's been great, but overall, it's been difficult. I think in the midst of it, there's been some beautiful, experiences that I've had, and reconnections with some friends that wouldn't have happened had I been in Jersey the entire time. So I'm thankful for those experiences. Thankful for the people in my life that stepped up for me when I was, going through the sadness and the frustration of this injury. But this is not how I thought that, my destiny was going to go this year. So it's been difficult, but life is about how you respond to the adversity in those situations. And there's a lot of lessons to be learned in this. I like to think that a lot of lessons could have been learned without having to go through a major Achilles injury. But I'm thankful for what I've learned during this time. But it just makes me miss the game that much more, miss being around the guys, and excited about getting back there soon.
Okay, so this is like, I don't want to say reignited, but even more so fueled the fire of when I came out of that darkness and decided that I wanted to continue to play. Right decision. We're going to play for another 10 years. Is that what we're thinking right now?
I think that there was a thought immediately after the injury, this is it. I'm done. I can't go through this rehab. I can't, I'm too old for this shit. And I did a lot of soul searching and praying that night. And I woke up in the morning and felt like, nah, I'm coming back. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to climb the mountain one more time. And I'm thankful for, again, for all the people who reached out, for the people that were praying for me and supporting me and sending me nice messages and checking on me. It's been really, really special. Just to reconnect with so many of those people who reached out during this time. It's reignited my love for it, because I've been in kind of what it feels like to be retired. I've been away from the team, for much of this 10 weeks, other than seeing them on some game days. And I'm never not with my squad in the fall. I've never made my fall schedule since I was, in high school playing ball. So I've gotten to look at what that feels like, and I'm not ready for that. I still feel like I've got a few good years left and can still play at a high level, and look forward to getting a chance to show that.
Being a non-football human, hate it. Can't wait to get back. We can't wait to watch you continue to grind it out. We appreciate you, brother. Happy Thanksgiving and happy early birthday, huh? It's coming up. December 2nd. Jay Glazer, breaking the news.
Thanksgiving to you guys. Great time to count your blessings, not what you don't have this week. So thankful for all you guys. I know you guys got a lot to be thankful for as well. And I'm also thankful, to I can't believe they didn't come in today, but I heard that Trey and JK were going to try and jump in on this interview and hear the Achilles factor. They didn't. So, but I'm thankful for those guys and everybody here. We're all grinding, supporting each other, encouraging each other. And like you always say, be a friend. Tell a friend something nice that might change their life. So thanks for all the people that reached out and did that for me this fall. And thank you to you guys for keep spreading the good word. And to everybody in Wichita who's
damn right,
who's supporting us as well. Happy Thanksgiving.
Damn right.
From Wichita all the way to the Achilles factory in California. We can't thank you enough. You're the best, dude. Happy Thanksgiving, ladies and gentlemen. And safe trip back to Jersey this week. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.